All right. Well, hey, good Thursday evening, everybody. What's happening tonight? A little late breaking news, and wanted to get some things figured out before I did this. So, bringing some information to you guys near the end of this show. I got a little bit of information that maybe will help explain what's going on here. And let's not get too excited about this. There's really not much going on here. This is a perfectly simple move. Expected that they were going to do something, in the kicker arena. It's just a lot of people are expecting that that's going to be free agent or draft. And we're going to cover that right now and what I learned here today. So, as we know, the kicker known as the Money Badger has found his way back to the Detroit Lions for yet another season in 2024. But the question is, for how long? So Michael Badgley headed back to Detroit, 1-year deal. Terms of the deal are unknown at this point, but according to his agent and NFL insider Ian Rappaport, they confirmed it. They broke the news, and then the Lions confirmed the signing today. So Badgley has kind of been like that on and off girlfriend, right? The one that you just can't seem to let go. He's kind of hung around on the Lions roster for 2 seasons now. Almost like that phone number in the back of the black book that, just kind of waiting to be called. That's Michael Badgley. He first started on the practice squad in 2022. He was promoted to the active roster, where he made 20 of 24 field goals during what was the last 12 or last 3 quarters of the season, last 12 games of the season. Then in 2023, Brad Holmes brought in a few kickers to promote competition during camp and to solidify the starting job for somebody, which included Riley Patterson and John Parker Romo. All of them in the mix, all of them going at it all summer long. So now the Lions have this 3-way going on, and Badgley eventually was released at the start of training camp. Go figure. But just again, like that girlfriend that keeps calling, Badgley signed yet again to the practice squad at the start of the regular season. Honestly, I think it's the dude's hair. I mean, just look at the dude's hair. I mean, he's got some. Have you seen the guy's hair? I mean, it's incredible. So I don't know what else it could be, because it's not his leg. That's for damn sure. So Riley Patterson starts off as the team's kicker in 2023, and he was doing pretty well. He was doing good, but then he missed 2 extra points in 3 games. And in the NFL, you don't miss extra points. You don't miss chip shots unless it's, severe conditions or they get blocked. Then you have somewhat of an excuse, but not extra points. So that's a quick exit. I don't care what roster, what team it is. That is a quick exit from most teams, unless they are a highly proven kicker in the NFL. And, they just kind of had an oops that day. They can forgive one, but not on a kicker that isn't proven, hasn't been stable with the team for, 5+ years and, banging kicks to win games. That's just not who Michael Badgley is. So, or Riley. Look, these guys are just not top flight kickers. I don't know how else to say it. They're B team guys. There's just no room for error. So Detroit decided to make the change to Badgley after Riley missed those extra points, who clearly must have been wearing a better dress that night. I don't know. I had to be doing something to win the heart back of Dan Campbell and David Phipp. And this was back when, there was kind of a fierce battle on this runway, so to speak. I'm just kind of messing around. I got to have a little bit of fun with this, because this is bonkers to me, but it'll make sense here in the end. But anyways, this was a pretty legit battle going on and happening throughout the middle of the season this last season. But in all seriousness, Badgley was just the better guy at the moment. He had the better leg. David Phipp had this to say about Badgley. He said, over the course of 6 weeks, Badgley had been better, and we didn't want to rush to make that decision right away. Special teams coordinator David Phipp then explained that we felt, that like he deserved as fair of an opportunity as we could have given him. but it was clear at the end of the day that he was playing better. So, I mean, that's it. They had confidence, in Badgley. They felt that he was the guy to carry them through the rest of the season. And surprisingly, really solid. He made all 4 of his field goals, a whole 4, in the regular season, and was 13 of 15 on extra points. So he missed 2 as well, but 1 was blocked. See, that's the difference. Still, you shouldn't be missing extra points. It happens rarely, even to the good guys, but you can't be missing extra points. That's why, nobody can trust these guys. If you miss an extra points, are you going to be counted on to make the big kick? So in the playoffs, however, he went a perfect 3 for 3 on field goals and 11 for 11 on, point after attempts, which included a 54-yard field goal in the second half of the wild card win versus the Rams. Now, mind you, this was a dome inside, no weather, playoff game, pressure, critical kick, but it was a dome, not Levi, not California, not NFC title game, grass, not turf. All of these things have to come into consideration, right? You got a million things going through your mind when you're trying to figure out, am I going for it, or am I trusting this guy to go boot 148 yards? What am I going to do? And I see you guys in the chat. I'll get to you guys in just a moment. Mile marker 301, Tracy, Lone Wolf, J Mommy. You guys are awesome, man. Always jumping in here. Appreciate you guys. But you see, this is kind of where things don't add up for Badgley, and why this move is fruitless, to be honest with you. And it's a giant nothing burger, to be honest with you. During the NFC title game, there were a lot of questions, cynical maybe questions, but surrounding Dan Campbell's very aggressive behavior, one would call it, and going for it when maybe a kick or a field goal was the better option. To someone who doesn't know or follow stats, that may be the case, right? From the outside looking in, that might be the case. But from the inside, and historically speaking with Badgley, he's only made 37 of 48 attempts between 40 and 49 yards. Let me say that again. Badgley has only made 37 of 48 attempts between 40 and 49 yards. Now, it's a range in which, would have been asked of him to attempt both field goals during the NFC title game. I think one is 47 and the other was 48. But let me give you, a percentage here. So 37 of 48, 77% chance. So if you understand the stats and you have all these things, if you don't think that Dan Campbell and the rest of this coaching staff doesn't have a litter of stats all over their sheets, where is Badgley from here, blah, 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 blah. Well, what's my percentage, to be able to complete this pass, at this spot on the field, at this time in the game. I mean, they have tons of stuff like that. And they have people upstairs and everywhere else communicating that stuff to them. So his relative unreliability from that distance, I believe, was used to justify Dan Campbell's decision to go for it in those situations. And I really do believe it, had a thing or two to do with the decision making that Dan Campbell used kind of all season. Just couldn't trust his kickers. It drew pretty heavy criticism, to say the least. There was a lot of upset fans, critics, analysts. I mean, you name it. Everybody was pissed off at Dan Campbell. People that aren't even Lions fans are pissed off at Dan Campbell for it. But look, I think it is what it is. When a kicker, how do I say this? When a kicker just can't be consistent enough, you're not going to have full trust in the guy. And in that big of a moment, you're probably going to trust what you've been doing all season, which is going for it and having one of the highest completion percentages on fourth down ever. So now comes the part where I tell you what I've been told. I do have a little birdie. I do get some information every once in a while. No, I don't go breaking, major trades and things like that are happening, or, you know, whatever. I mean, very rarely do I get that information up front. But this was nothing more than a security blanket move. That's all this was to start the season. You know, they wanted to secure a spot, you know, a kicker before free agency. They didn't want anything to happen, you know, to Badgley prior to free agency, which is about to kick off here in a couple of weeks. So the position is going to be, from what I understand, evaluated much more in depth during free agency, and especially during the draft. Expect Badgley to stick around throughout camp and be an extra body to complete or to compete while the Lions, you know, get their rookie kicker up to speed. Yes, I said rookie. And that is what I'm being told is the larger play here. I guess we'll find out, you know, 6-8 weeks or whatever it is from now today. And my guy has never steered me wrong. If you guys remember, I told you guys Laporta was playing on Tuesday before the Tampa Bay game. I wasn't wrong. I had all the information ahead of that. So this guy has never steered me. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, this isn't going to turn out to be a pile of poop. It could be, you know, with that one caveat. You know, look, I was advised that the Lions do have interest in a free agent kicker. This is the only caveat. And if they can't get a deal done, if the price tag is too high for what they want to pay, they're going to look at the draft. Now, according to this individual, 2 kickers come to mind. And look, the Lions have bigger needs. I don't think you're going to go pay, you know, over the mountain for a kicker when you need to, you know, sign some cornerbacks, defensive ends, defensive tackles, potentially a safety. So those are the plays that are in front of us. And I know I kind of just threw a bunch of crap, it seems like, against the wall, but that's what I'm being told. And this is just a placeholder for now, no pun intended. But that's about it. It's a giant nothing burger. Do not expect Badgley to be the starting kicker come week 1, unless, you know, something crazy happens with injuries. All right, now let me bounce into the chat and see what everyone's got to say here. And thank you for joining me on this late breaking edition of some Detroit Lions free agency frenzy moves, right? J Mommy, let's see what you got to say first. J Mommy says the field goal that he hit would have been good at 60 yards. You never know. I agree wholeheartedly. My question is this, though. How much more pressure is he feeling at that moment in the second half? Pressure kills, man. It does. I mean, you see what pressure does in a pressure cooker, and that's the way a kicker is going to feel when the game is literally on your foot. And I don't, you know, based on the stats, I just wouldn't trust it. I'd have to say that the percentage at 77% from that distance had to be 54, 58% with all the pressure. Just a guess. You know, I don't know what analytics they use from there, but just a guess. Tracy says, I think Brad will bring in competition. Yeah, I think he's going to do that by ways of like what I'm being told here. They're looking, you know, a couple free agents, but definitely through the draft. Ryan Van Valkenburg says, I would like to see a better move at kicker. I think we all would love to see a better move at kicker, but here's something else I want to throw your way. Eric Rendamaki, death, taxes, and Michael Badgley. Oh, that poor SOB, poor Badgley. Here's, I guess, what I'll throw your way. How often do we really need a kicker compared to other teams? Anybody have an idea? Because I don't. I haven't looked. But I'm going to venture a guess here that there are some teams that kick the ball a hell of a lot, and a hell of a lot more than the Lions do. For one, it's because Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th down. But the other reason is the Lions score touchdowns. They score a lot of points. You utilize a kicker when you can't score TDs. This team scores TDs, and that's why they've never put a high value price on a kicker. My opinion alone. But that's where I'm at with it. You know, they plan on scoring TDs and kicking, you know, pooch balls through the uprights for, you know, a point. J Mommy says Campbell did gamble on 3 games that the Lions would have won, but he will learn from that. And he's also gambled on a lot of games to help us win. You know, I posed that question a few weeks ago, and I apologize. I don't think I ever followed up on it. But I was going to go and take a look at, a lot of the games that were, just look at all the 4th downs where we went for it. And if we didn't do that and we didn't get the first down or we didn't get, whatever happened, during that play, a touchdown or whatever it led to, would we have won those games? The challenge that I put out there to everybody was to go back and look at it. I still need to. I need more hours in the day. But my question and my challenge was this: would we have even made the playoffs had we lost a couple of games because he didn't go for it? So I think it goes both ways. The knife cuts on both sides, right? Casey says fandom is generally overly optimistic during success, in wins, and myopic and revisionist after losses. I don't think I can say that fast. It's human nature, is what he's trying to say. Evan Smock, new name, welcome in. He says it's crazy how we've sucked most of my 52 years, but we had Murray, Hansen, Prater. Now we're good and have Badgley. Great point. Great point. Why didn't I think of saying that? So here's what I'm gonna say, Evan, because I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm agreeing, but I'm gonna spin it. Okay. The reason why we had such badass kickers is because we couldn't do anything else with the ball. Jason Hansen, 20 plus years as a Detroit Lion, was our leading scorer. That is not how you win football games. You can't have your kicker be your leading scorer. Matter of fact, I think he still holds the record for the most points scored as a Detroit Lion. Somebody fact check me on that one, please. Matt Prater. I mean, look, we had Stafford, we had Calvin Johnson, we had a great offense at times. But Matt Prater was booting balls left and right. 60-yarders, no problem for that leg. We didn't win any more games, though. Matter of fact, we lost a ton of games. We didn't really go to the playoffs, did we? So the point that I'm trying to drive home here is, even if you have a great kicker, doesn't mean you're going to win games. Because we had, 3 of the best to ever do it? I mean, 3 of the best to ever do it. And how many games did we win by having an amazing kicker? Now, I am in the boat that we do need a kicker because you do need to have that confidence, especially when you're playing your heart out and it's a tight game and you just need a kick. You need the confidence. You need to know that it's in your back pocket and it's 55 yards and you can say, let's go home. Go get it done. But Dan Campbell hasn't had those words. He hasn't had the confidence to say it. My opinion alone. Peter Van Larhoven says, good signing. Badger is a solid kicker. I would argue that because his stats are actually not the greatest. But Casey says also Lions special teams is pretty darn good. Great punting, solid coverage, decent returns, and a few trick plays. Sure, place kicking mid to weak, though. And those are all great points, too. I mean, Fox, that guy drops dimes with his foot. I have not seen a punter this good in such a long time. Matter of fact, I don't think we've ever had a punter this good, to be honest with you. A guy that can bury it, on the 2-yard line and that ball is spinning and it doesn't move. That's insane to me. And he did it at least twice this last season. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share tonight. Just a quick breaking news on the free agency frenzy. Right now it's former guys that the Lions can reach out to, guys that have expired contracts. You can re-sign your own guys. You just can't mess with anybody else right now. And right now, Michael Badgley, the Badger, the Money Badger, is back wearing the Honolulu blue temporarily. And we'll see what happens. Last couple things coming in here from Evan. He said we had Barry Sanders and never won anything that mattered. That's not a valid reason to not want a great running back, is it? I see where you're going with this. I get your point. C. Klaus 21 says this has nothing to do with the topic, but you sound like Tom Segura. Tom Segura. Why? What name? Wait, is that the comedian Tom Segura? I've never been compared to that guy before. I've been compared to a lot of other idiots around the world, but that's okay. I'm finding out though. So I had a brain MRI done. Now to go way off topic, and they found a mass in the mastoid, and whether you've got air back there or fluid or it's a mass, whatever it is, I'll find out tomorrow. It messes with your tone and it messes with your ears. So it kind of sucks because sometimes you don't know how you're talking to people, and it can come off really harsh. So you might sound like a complete jerk, even though you don't know that you're sounding like a complete jerk. So I hope that they get it figured out. Thankfully, there's technology here that can help to work through those things a little bit. But I appreciate the compliment if that is a compliment, and if it's not, it's okay too. So that's all I wanted to point out tonight. Great points made by you guys. Josh Prince says, who is the next signing for the Lions? Your guess is as good as mine. Brad Holmes is in cloak mode right now. I mean, the guy's doing what he does, and we're not going to know what's happening. I can tell you this, and there may be another video coming out, but it does appear that Jonah Jackson is more than likely going to hit free agency. And I'm not mad about it. I think that someone's going to severely overpay for his lackluster services. I mean, Graham Glasgow had a much better season, and that's the guy that you're going to want to pay and bring back. I mean, he's the guy that was one of the originals with this offensive line with Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker, and Penei Sewell is just a monster. So I'd rather keep, Graham Cracker in-house, and, I'd love to see him stick around. I really would. Jonah, again, I'd love to see him stick around too, but you cannot pay through the nose when you got guys out there available like Robert Hunt, that might only take 10, 11, 12 million a season to get done. And he's a much better guard than Jonah Jackson will ever be. Again, that's just my opinion. And yes, Tracy, Jonah is injury prone. But to answer your question there, Josh Prince, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next. But we'll be finding out. And when we do, we'll be right here on Rock Down Detroit Lions. And if you would also like to find out, make sure you pay attention to your sportspider.com website. This episode has been brought to you guys by sportspider.com, and that is sportspyder.com. Get all that news, all those updated signings, all in one place. It's an amazing website. You can customize it. I went through a little tutorial with you guys last week. Maybe we'll do another one here for some of the new people, but go check it out. The link is in the description, so check that out. And while you're down there, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe while you're here. Share this with a friend, and I'd love to have them come in and join Rock Down Detroit Lions too. So, all right, y'all, go One Pride, go Detroit Lions, and until next time, please take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.